Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we are going to be having a look at February's exceptional story, Mistress of the Skies. As always, at the start of a new exceptional story, I will encourage you to go and play this yourself, become an exceptional friend, get access to these stories every month, and various other benefits like an expanded card deck and twice as many actions. But without further ado, let's jump straight in. Travelling tradesperson. A striking saleswoman knocks on the door of your lodgings. Her eyes and lips are painted iridescent purple. I'm a representative for the Mistress of the Skies Cosmetics, she says, brandishing a polished leather case. Can I have a moment of your time? Sure. I mean, we could turn her away because my time is too valuable. That seems slightly unfair. Let's let her in. You wish to peruse her wares. I thought you'd be interested, says the striking saleswoman, flashing you an iridescent smile. She reminds you of someone. A face in a crowd. Someone you brushed aside. Mistress of the Skies is a collective, she says. We make cosmetics for people who wish to be remembered. She opens her case. Don't worry, I won't try to sell you anything, aside from anything else. She places an array of small brass compacts upon the table. Our products speak for themselves. She steps back from the table, now gleaming with discs of polished metal. As promised, the striking saleswoman makes no attempt to sell you her wares. Her painted mouth quivers slightly as she holds her smile in place. You are not so different. She and you. We have a few options here. We can examine the compacts. What are the Mistress of the Skies cosmetics like? Why the Mistress of the Skies? Rather a grandiose name for a cosmetics company, perhaps? Or we can ask her about herself. Why is she selling cosmetics? Let's start off at the top and examine the compacts. Each brass compact is embossed with a symbol, a disc framed by two curved horns. You click one open to reveal a mirror and a cake of iridescent powder. All our products use the same pigment as the striking saleswoman. It's called Violent. The mirror stopped leaking out. May I? He presses a finger into the powder and smears it across your palm. The shimmering streak reminds you of things you have done with that hand. When you wear Mistress of the Skies, striking saleswoman says, onlookers can't help thinking about what connects you to them, even if they'd rather forget. This seems remarkably dangerous. Okay, so why the Mistress of the Skies? We are a collective, not a company, explains the striking saleswoman. And the Mistress is our figurehead. I've never met her, but that's her symbol. She runs a finger over the horns embossed on the brass compact. Her nail is iridescent, like a beetle's carapace. There is a callus from where she grips her pen. Your own finger aches. I always liked the name, continues. I've never seen the real Sky because someone powerful decided I didn't matter. Wearing something called Mistress of the Skies makes me feel like I'm taking back something that should have been mine. Interesting. Let's ask her about herself. Why is she selling cosmetics? I don't come from much, says the striking saleswoman, frowning. She blushes beneath the sparkling dust on her cheekbones, and a dark memory of your own spills into your mind. You have both known hard times. I make a living selling Mistress of the Skies, she continues, but that's not why I do it. She lowers her voice. Those things you think when you look at me. Imagine if everyone thought them about everyone else. Don't you think things would be better? Most of what's wrong in London would be fixed if people remembered what they had in common. He raises a valid point. Yeah, well, that's enough questions. We wish to move things along. This will advance the story. Then let me ask you something, says the striking saleswoman. I believe the way we look affects what others think about us, and that when enough people change how they look, the world starts to change. Wouldn't you agree? We can either agree adornments can change society, or we do not. Surfaces are not important. It's actions that matter. That's actually a really deep question. I mean, in the case of Fallen London, where you're wearing basically magical makeup that actually changes the way people think about you, could make a big difference. In terms of real life, not so much. But I think I'm going to go with you agree, just because it kind of rings true to the current situation. But in reality, I think actions matter more. I knew you would understand, says the striking saleswoman. On the surface, people used cosmetics to make it look as though they never worked in the sun, because only the higher classes could afford to stay indoors. And yet now, those same higher classes aim to be suspicious of grease paint because it suggests the wearer has something to hide. Her iridescent lips curl into a conspiratorial smile because you share an understanding. But they don't really believe that. They just need a way to tell who is like them and who isn't, so they can keep order. Since you understand why Mistress of the Skies is important, says the striking saleswoman, with unconvincing nonchalance, I believe you would make an excellent salesperson. You would be able to put your well-formed opinions into practice and be part of a changing London for the better. What do you say? Why me? What brought her to my door? My work takes me all over London, says the striking saleswoman, and I've heard your name. I thought you'd be an asset to our collective. We need effective people if we're to change London. She fixes her purple-shadowed eyes on yours, betraying a vulnerability that despite your differences, you recognize in yourself. Please consider it, she says. Salespeople who recruit wisely are rewarded. If I bring you in, I'll be recognized for my good judgment. Recognized and rewarded. This isn't a pyramid scheme, is it? So we can either agree to be a salesperson, why not, or we can refuse to be a salesperson. Let's agree. I mean, this seems like the more interesting choice, doesn't it? The striking saleswoman's shimmering eyes crinkle as she smiles, because this means a great deal to her, more than it ever could to someone with your good fortune. Wonderful, she says. That case is yours. Go out into London and sell as much as you can. Then he places a gold-bordered invitation on the table. Come to this meeting. It's for the whole collective. There's a great honour due to a salesperson who sells the most. Of course, I'll hope it'll be me, but if it's you, I'll be recognised for bringing you aboard. I must be leaving, says the striking saleswoman. I have my own wares to sell. We have competition, you know. Mistress of the Skies may be a collective, but she frowns and her purple-winged eyes betray misgivings she has long tried to quell. Amongst so many vibrant colleagues, I'm sometimes overlooked. Oh, well, let's bid her farewell. We both have work to do. Oh, by the way, says the striking saleswoman as she steps out of your door, I find it helps to apply some cosmetics before I try and sell them. Her painted face blossoms into an expression of shy triumph. I believe it has worked for me tonight. You trying to tell me that I've just been tricked because of your fancy makeup? I can believe it. The story continues on the Mistress of the Skies card in Vale Garden, Ladybones Road, Wolfstack Docks, and Spite. But we'll start in Vale Garden. But we can also trail her. Let's travel to Vale Garden first. Maybe we should do the Who is the Striking Saleswoman first. The Striking Saleswoman thoroughly researched you before recruiting you for the Mistress of the Skies Collective. Ah, okay. We can only do these as we recruit other people. Got it. So let's start with the Mistress of the Skies, an evening with the Bohemians. A company of bohemians have gathered in a Vale Garden attic. Their artistic leanings make them potential customers, the Mistress of the Skies. Okay, we have two options here. We can apply a little shadow to your eyes, then venture inside. You wish to make an impression? You will sell more, but some menaces will slightly increase. Or we can go in as we are. You need no additional adornment. You will sell less, but your menaces will not increase. How bad can it be? You open a large, round compact to reveal a disc of iridescent powder and dab a little on your eyelids. It is warm at first, and you see electric blue light when you close your eyes. The effect fades. Thus adorned, you climb the stairs to the attic. A woman dressed as a fairy is unfazed by your maquillage, for it is scarcely the most outlandish adornment in the room. However, you later see her crouched on the floor in the corner, her head in her hands. Uh-oh. I'm sure it'll be fine. The Bohemians have transformed their attic into an enchanted forest, strung with paper garlands and lit with candle stubs. Costumed players cavort in an attempt to discover and perhaps convey something profound. Their efforts are observed by a huddle of influential bohemians at the back of the room. The night is still too young for them to entertain you. I mean, we can tell them about it, I guess. Perhaps suggest it could contribute to their art. A player dressed as a tree studies one of your compacts. "Isn't that a second city symbol?" she asks, fingering the twin horns embossed on its surface. "Goddess of..." She squints. "Music? Dance? I can't remember. A little bourgeois to put her symbol on a compact like this." Her fellow player, a young man in a fawn costume, has been staring at you, rapt, for several minutes. "There's nothing bourgeois about it," he says dreamily. "We must create ourselves in order to discover ourselves, and this," he brushes a finger against your sparkling cheek, "is a new way to do it." "Hey, we made a sale, let's go. Let's join their performance. Perhaps they will purchase your wares if they feel they can relate." "The play," explains a woman, dressed as death, as she helps you into a costume, "is about the fear of living a meaningless life. It is actually for the best that you have not rehearsed, for life itself has no rehearsal. You will give a more authentic performance." After the play, the Bohemians congratulate you. "It was your face," whispers one. "It was like you could see the end getting closer and closer and..." She shivers. "I see it when I close my eyes." As you sell her a compact, you catch sight of yourself in its mirror. Beneath the electric glow upon your eyelids is a face that will one day die. And now we can leverage our personal qualities to sell cosmetics. Your connections will matter as much as your charms. Luckily, my renown with the Bohemians is quite high. The influential Bohemians listen as you extol the artistic potential of Mistress of the Skies. Convinced, they dust their limbs with iridescent powder and dance in the last of the candlelight. Their liquid forms beautiful for now, though it is only a matter of time before they become bones and dust. After making your sale, you bid the Bohemians farewell and make your way to the Vale Garden streets. A ginger cat hisses at you from the doorway of a honey den. Okay, is it time for me to go to Ladybones Road? Or should we do this? Hang on, let's go to Ladybones Road. Oh, don't forget. let's see if we can do anything to do with the striking saleswoman. Now we can watch from a distance as she makes a sale. Perhaps her maquillage will be less distracting from far away. The striking saleswoman accosts an irate bohemian beside a honey den and proceeds to show him her wares. I can't think straight with you looking at me, he snaps and pulls his hat down over his eyes. Listen, he continues, I think you mean well. I agree London should change, but your face paint puts thoughts in people's heads without their permission. It's not right. But I didn't give my permission to be born without money, counters the striking saleswoman, or to be turned away from employment because of who my parents were, or weren't. Nothing will ever get better if we wait for everyone to say yes. Oh my. Alright, well let's see if we can spend the evening amid society. A salon is being held at a grand house on Ladybones Road. It presents an opportunity to distribute Mistress of the Skies amongst London's upper echelons. Well, we may as well apply a little grease paint to our lips and then go inside. You wish to make an impression? You press a finger into a cake of iridescent grease paint and smear it over your lips. It is momentarily warm, but cools as it settles onto your skin. It tastes of nothing. Are you lost? Inquires a flustered hostess as she opens the door. Can I order you a carriage, or perhaps... Trails off, eyes flickering over your face. Wordlessly, she lets you into her home. Later, you overhear her confiding in a friend that your face reminded her of a time she tried to forget. My life wasn't always like this, she whispers, smoothing her taffeta. The salon murmurs with polite conversation, punctuated by the clinking of teacups. While the guests glow with a sheen of prosperity, their faces appear devoid of cosmetics. If these people have applied grease paint or powder, they did so with such skill that they are undetectable. The flustered hostess is circling the room, guiding conversation towards respectable topics and ensuring no one is without tea. It would not do to interrupt her before she reaches you. Well, we can bring Mistress of the Skies up in conversation. At the very least, we will gauge the guests' reactions to it. Normally, I take a rather dim view of those who apply cosmetics, remarks a bejeweled baroness. They're not only rather vulgar, but suspicious. What is one concealing beneath all that grease paint? I rather think that if one is the right sort, one will show one's true face. However, he glances at you. Painting one's face so ostentatiously unnatural colour cannot be considered deceitful. It is hardly as if, she trails off. A look of horror crosses her face, and she collapses, spilling scalding tea over your leg. When she comes to, she buys a small compact and retreats to the corner to gaze at it. I mean, ow, but we did make a sale. Let's gossip with the other guests. It is the preferred pastime in this circle. Quite the anecdotalist? Oh, it doesn't matter about whom you gossip, or what you claim they did. Your audience is captivated and see their own escapades reflected in your anecdotes. The thrill of having got away with their own peccadillos curdles into discomfort, and later you overhear the other guests discussing you. Your stories are too detailed for you not to have been involved somehow. Later, a disturbed gentleman pulls you behind a curtain. Your story reminded me of someone I have not thought of in years, he whispers, staring at your mouth. To think of him is painful, but, he raises a finger to your lips, I have missed it. Okay, now we can imitate the flustered hostess's mannerisms. Your connections will matter as much as your observational skills. The flustered hostess leads you to a gentle stroll about the room. You observe her closely, adopting her mannerisms and way of speech. He is captivated and listens as you explain how although Mistress of the Skies is all the rage in the other salons, it's understandable that she isn't familiar with it. Convention is clearly very important to her. With an eagerness verging on panic, the flustered hostess purchases some cosmetics and smears them across her own face. Like you, she is not fully at home here. As you leave the salon, a cat eyes you from across the street. Why are there cats everywhere? I think we'll head to the Wolfstack Docks, but I do think I'm going to end this episode here. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. In the next episode, we shall carry on with the other people we need to see. So yes, thank you very much for watching. And as always, we'll see you next time.